Look up the word crazy in the dictionary and you might just find an asterisk beside the definition that says, listen to the Subiquitous podcast featuring Sue Duffield and you'll find out what crazy means. Sue's travelogue journey of unfiltered stories, impossible miracles, and faith-filled fun will be revisited right here. So buckle up and let's get going with this humorous travelogue of an unfiltered saint, Subiquitous.
Well, our last episode, did we lose you? I hope not. If anything, it's going to get even hotter. I don't know if it was in our egg salad we ate or what, but last week we got talking about united we stand, divided we fall. And if you haven't listened to episode 9, by all means, after you're done this one, go back because it was hilarious. Jeff and I, for some reason, hit a nerve, boy, and we took off. It was like we were off to the races. We're talking about the culture and how we were raised and how different it is, of course. But for some reason, I feel like every single day we're being told to celebrate differences rather than celebrating what we're really alike on. I don't know. Is that just me? But I feel like, yes, we want to obviously honor diversities and honor the fact that we are different. But man, there are so many things that we are alike in. And this is what I'm afraid that we're missing. And so last week, I had my co-host, Mr. Jeff Duffield, kind of pipe in a little bit. But we talked about his likes and dislikes. And I don't know how in the world we made it all these years, but we did.
Pipe in?
I know.
That would be one of the all-time understatements. Piping in.
Somebody asked me, though, the other day, was divorce ever mentioned in all your years? And I said, no, murder a few times. But not
that one crossed our mind.
I know, that's true.
And that's, anyway.
But we have some things that are, yes, we have some differences. Let's talk a little bit about that first.
We did that last week, didn't we?
I know, and then we got arguing. But we're not going to go all the way there. We're gonna kind of blend into what our likenesses are more. Okay. Because we want to help people all over the world.
Sure we do.
Because we are the crisis management marriage hotline.
There's a lot of people in trouble.
Wouldn't that be awful?
Oh.
I was thinking the other day, you remember you and I did a marriage retreat together in Florida? Do you remember doing that?
Yeah.
And
we stunk.
We weren't that good.
No, we stunk.
Well, I mean, we tried and we expressed our. I think if we were to do one now, we'd be a whole lot better. Oh yeah, a whole lot better.
That's almost 20 years ago.
Is that right?
I think so.
We were just terrible. I remember getting back on that plane coming home thinking,
we wasted their money.
I feel so bad. Do we need to return the honorarium?
Yeah, we didn't.
Who knows? Somebody may have been.
You never know.
It's like, I forget where I was, and maybe it was at a speaker's conference, and we heard this one speaker. She got up, and I'm telling you, her content was great, but she was terrible at her delivery. And the content was good. I had to keep saying to myself, this content is good. But her voice and her delivery is horrific. And so we read after, the reviews of every person who attended at the end, okay? And so everybody had to rate the speaker. Mm-hmm. I cannot believe it. I was reading comments, and this is what I read. Oh, thank God she wasn't good because I could so relate to her. Mm. And so here I'm thinking.
Well, then our retreat was a success.
That's what I'm saying. Praise the Lord. Thank you, Jesus.
Anyway.
Yeah. But anyway.
So what is our differences?
Well, some of the differences are our food likes.
Yes.
Here's the problem.
I'm going to go lay down.
No, don't lay down.
I hear this song sung.
I know. Well, they need to know about
Here's
this.
an example.
What?
You brought it up. Last week, you made stuffed peppers. Now, for the stuffed peppers lovers in the audience,
they were marvelous.
They're probably salivating.
They were marvelous.
My mother made them because my father liked them when I was a child.
Right.
And, if you like peppers, hey, go for it.
Yeah.
The best I could get out of my mother in the pre-microwave, pre-packaged food days was that she would, after she cooked them, she would take the meat away out of the pepper.
Okay, well,
and let me eat the meat.
Right.
I still tasted the pepper.
I know, and you don't like green pepper, and I get that.
And,
I get
and
that.
the other day you made these stuffed peppers, and they were where you made them for yourself and then your daughter,
my kids, yeah,
yes, and her husband,
right,
and you begged
Your grandson loved them, by the way.
Congratulations.
He's only a year old, and he was smashing his face with green pepper stuffed.
I still
yummy.
don't like them. But you practically got on the floor and begged me to take a bite of it. And I said, I know what it's going to taste like. I don't like it.
I know.
And just to end the episode,
yes,
I just grabbed the fork and I stuck it in my mouth.
And that was all I was asking for.
Yes. And I was immediately transported back 54 or 55 years ago to my mother's kitchen in New Jersey when I had this, and it tasted the same way. I still tasted the pepper and the mate, which I know people that love stuffed peppers, you're probably thinking, he's an idiot. You're probably right. But that's way it goes.
Well, we already talked about that on one episode about your texture disease. I think that's part of that. But it's really hard for me, and this has been a little bit of a challenge. If people want to know how we exist and how we work on our likenesses.
You are I will give you this. You are extremely gracious, and that you will make most of the things that I like, and you're also generous in that you will make me what I want, but at the same time you'll make something for yourself.
And then
most ladies would not do that.
No, and I do talk to a lot of women out there who would say they would never, ever cook two different meals.
No, I'm sure. And I'm sure.
But
and
I have
I'm
to because I don't,
that.
I can't eat lima beans and potatoes and chicken all the time. I mean, I'd have lima beans coming out of my ear. My ears would turn into a lima bean.
I eat other vegetables. Vegetables, as a guy used to say.
Succotash, which is lima beans and corn.
No, I eat corn. I eat peas. I eat green beans.
Sometimes you're not you're not a fan of green beans. You will never
if
choose
they're cooked
green
properly.
Beans. What does that mean?
That's one thing my mother did. She made green beans the way she cooked them, and I know what's coming. But the way she cooked them, they were very soft.
Do you know why?
Yes, because she cooked all the nutrition out of them.
Yes, and not only that, they came out of a can. They weren't fresh. No, nay.
Like this.
No, because
green beans you bring in are fresh.
Yes, they're fresh frozen from Seabrook Farms. They are fresh frozen.
A company that went out of business 30 years ago.
That became what company later?
Oh, I don't know.
They were
no.
I almost said Frito-Lay, but that's not right. what the other Bird's Eye?
No,
Bird's Eye bought out Seabrook Farms.
Well, I'm not certain about that. No, here's the deal. Charles F. Seabrook, who had an elementary school in my hometown named after him.
Bridgeton, New Jersey.
I attended, yes. Charles F. Seabrook. Thank you. Don't die on me now. You got to make green beans for me later. Charles F. Seabrook developed the frozen food processing system of taking vegetables and freezing them. Okay. Clarence Birdseye.
Yeah.
Let's see. Is that the way I got it? Yeah. Clarence Birdseye, as I recall, developed the production system, the Henry Ford assembly line system. So they collaborated together. Ultimately, I think the Seabrook line of foods was absorbed by Clarence Birdseye or whatever. So yeah. But when you bring in green beans or peas or corn or whatever, they're all frozen from the local.
No, I know, because sometimes in our I was so happy to find down here in Rockville, Tennessee, a farm market. A farm market with fresh green beans. You would gag yourself to death if I brought them in here.
Oh, come on.
Because all I want to do is saute them with a little bit of olive oil and a little bit of garlic.
I could do that.
If they're crunchy, you'd go.
I admit I don't like the crunchy. I like them soft.
All right. Well, all right. But then, like you say, though, then you've evaporated all of the vitamins out of the
and the milk or whatever.
The milk. There's no milk in green beans. Although there is. I've heard. Did you hear about this? There's this new thing called pea milk. I don't even want to go there.
No, we're not going there. That hurts to think about.
It's PEA milk. Annie was talking about it the other day. If they feed their kids pea milk.
Okay. I'm just.
There's a line there somewhere, but I don't know where it is.
There's a greater subject matter that we've somehow got to get to.
Okay, so we're celebrating our differences, of course. This is what
Yes.
our culture wants us to do.
Yes.
Celebrate our differences. Oh, boy.
But what are we going to get to the part where we have likenesses?
Well, I just want to say one more thing.
Okay, go ahead. That's fine.
The differences between Sue and Jeff Duffield is you are, as a musician, you are a lousy person to take to a live concert.
Gosh.
You are absolutely
I'm better.
awful to
I'm
take
better.
to a live concert.
I'm better than I used to.
If you're sitting in the audience
because
now,
I've learned you're not interested in my observations.
no,
so I'm
and
better.
you know we don't need a
I'm not alone in this, by the way.
What?
Since moving to Nashville,
they all
I have
do it.
found other individuals who do the very same thing.
we went to see Bette Midler.
Yes, we did.
And we were in Radio City Music Hall
Yes,
years
we
ago, and
did.
it was fabulous. And we were all the way at the top, and there was a
last row.
delay.
Top balcony.
The delay of the sound system was on a delay, so that
Among
we would
other
get,
things.
Yeah, among other things. And I was getting a PBS special sitting next to me, telling me how she was doing this.
You needed to know.
I didn't need to know. I wanted to be involved.
I needed you to know.
That was there you go. There you go. And I wanted to experience the feeling of the moment, and you were telling me the technicality.
Next week's podcast will have the location and time of our counseling session with our therapist, by the way.
No, this is all good. This is good because, truthfully, we do
I hope we're being
understand our differences. There are major differences, but what we're really good at is what we've learned is that we don't major in minors.
No. I learned here's my for me.
You already said happy life, happy wife, or whatever that was. You said that once
But
before.
that's not what I was going to say.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah. one of our differences is you assume a lot. And you just did it
Assumption.
right. And you just did it right there.
And you're exactly right.
And you're not good at mind reading.
No, that's true.
What I was going to say is that years ago, I reached the point where and it sounds trite. I'm not trying to make it that way, but I reached the point where I would rather be happy than right.
Oh, so
And
when
that's
did
not
you
to say
learn
that you were
this?
wrong.
No, I know.
Even though you were at times. I just got to the point where I would rather, my goal, my higher goal was to be with you.
Yeah.
And to spend time with you.
See?
I don't know what I was thinking.
Okay.
But anyway.
Yeah.
That was my goal. And the other things were minor compared to that goal. And so I strove
Right.
to do whatever was necessary to reach that point.
Yeah.
And I think once I started, I was the one that had to that comes out, that doesn't sound right, but I was the one that started it. That makes it sound like you didn't, and that's not the case. But once I started putting that
you
into
made a
action,
decision. You made a decision.
yeah. Once I
and-
put that into action, you responded in
Favorably.
kind. Yeah, yeah.
Like why did it take you this long? No,
Yes,
I
of
didn't say that. I didn't
course.
say that. Of course.
No, you didn't say it. You didn't have to say it.
I will say this
thought
though.
it.
I have to say this. If I did have any counsel about young married couples, and we've been in situations where people have asked us very poignant questions and what would you do if, or how would you work through this? And especially because there are a couple of things going on here. We not only have a private life, we have a public life, and everything is so enmeshed.
Sometimes we can't tell the difference.
We cannot tell the difference, and that really is the truth. And I'm being very serious about that. That it's not unusual for us to just basically be vulnerable enough with, maybe like we were last night with our friends that we went out to dinner with last night. We were sitting there, and I was just very, very honest and said, for the first time during this pandemic, I think I started to feel, and I started to get a little creepy about it, but I started to feel this, oh God, what about tomorrow thing? And it was a very honest thought, and it came out before I even realized what I said.
We're allowed to have thoughts. There's nothing you can do about them.
Right.
As far as having them. When you dwell on them
Yeah.
and act upon them or not, well, stew on them, as my father used to say, or ruminate, as you like to say.
Ruminate is a great word.
Yes, when we give place to those thoughts,
Right.
and then base our actions on it, our based on what we feel or think. on negative thoughts, then they're not good for us. But you
No.
can't stop having a thought. That's an impossibility. We
It
don't.
isn't.
We can get them out of our minds and make a decision that, well, I'm just not going to entertain that thought.
You've become, I'll tell you the truth though, you have become a great listener. And
Sometimes.
no, I'm
try.
just, you don't have to say a word. You can just say thank you.
So I have to listen here?
Yes. Just please listen. Shut up. Listen.
You're not supposed to say shut up.
I know, but say thank you.
Okay, thank you.
But you have. And we are both raging extroverts, which is really, really crazy to think about. Although
I'm more of a reformed
you're
one.
a reformed extrovert.
'cause
And I'm becoming more of a reformed introvert, though.
Well,
I enjoy my private
what we
time.
laugh about is that when we go to do a program or concert or a weekend together and people meet us for the first time, they see us on a stage and they see you, in your controlled insanity thing that you do. And then we get done, and a lot of times we'll go out to dinner or something socially with the people that brought us in, and the roles will reverse.
Right, it does.
Reverse. And
Right.
and you'll become this. Maybe it's because you don't have any energy left. I don't know.
That's true.
But you'll get real
Right.
quiet,
Right.
and then I pick up from where we've had people say to us, you guys would be a good case study
know.
for
We
personality disorders or whatever. It's Jekyll and Hyde kind of thing there, but it's true. We do that.
But the nicest compliment, and I want to thank Mr. John Crawford if he's listening. He sent me an email after listening to one of our Facebook Live concerts. And he said something to the effect of, you can't fake the connection that you have online. You can't fake the connection when you're doing a live broadcast. You can see it in your eyes, you can see it in your body language, and you can see it in how we interact with each other.
Well, I do like you.
I kind of like you too a little bit,
Yeah.
sometimes. But what I mean by that is that we can tell pretty much by our body language, and you can also tell by others, how much of an interaction there is, or how much of a connection, or even how much of an intimacy there is.
Oh, sure.
And so that is that's developed over time. It's not
Well,
something that happens instantly. But
We're now 64 years
Yeah,
old,
yeah.
and I met you when I was 12.
yeah.
It's been a while.
But let me ask you this.
Yes.
Okay. How good is it to be married to someone
Oh, boy.
who not only sings and makes you laugh, but also loves sports?
Well, and you got there's another part to that question.
Uh-oh.
Well, and riding motorcycles.
That's true. Well, I would call that kind of a sport, maybe.
Yeah. I mean, you feel like you've hit the jackpot.
Well, there you go. Don't you ever forget it.
Oh, believe me. 5 years ago, 5 years ago when we purchased our latest and last Harley Davidson motorcycle, you lied to me for several days because it was my 60th birthday, and you went behind my back. And those that are listening, don't get blown out of the water. Lying is a euphemistic
Well,
term.
I just kind of
Misled. Yeah. And
I was
you
trying
told
to make
me
it a surprise.
Well, and you did. You totally did. But you were going downtown to meet with your agent, which was untrue. Even though you talked to her on the phone, yeah, that's stretching it, but nonetheless. And
I did not lie about that.
No, and you made the whole deal for the motorcycle,
And
which
it was fun for me to do that.
I know
it was
that.
so much fun, and
it resulted in us walking
Yeah.
in the dealership, and the
Right.
bike was there in the front window.
You hated me at first because you're thinking of the payment book.
Well, yeah, that was my first thought. Oh, good Lord.
I know.
And, but anyway, you videoed that whole exchange.
Which is on YouTube, I think.
Is it? I know we put
so.
it on Facebook.
Yeah.
And I put it on one of the Harley Facebook pages.
Okay.
And there was maybe 1,000 likes to it. And there was
Right.
probably 100 questions on there from other male motorcycle riders. Like, does she have a sister?
Does she have a sister?
So you are the exception. When it comes to riding motorcycles and in being involved in sports, you will sit down with me and watch a game. You you're into it. We have video
We're
of
diehard Eagles fans.
when the Eagles won the
diehard
Super Bowl
Phillies
a couple of years ago. We
Oh,
have video
man.
of you and I and our
Yeah.
daughter going absolutely nuts.
Right.
We're just, we that's a pastime. We don't have many, of those diversions,
Right.
but those are two of them.
But I want the listener all to know too that not only do we have things that we like to do together, we also have things that you're not especially interested in, and you have things that I'm not especially interested in. Like to go to Sweetwater's, what do you call their big extravaganza they have every year?
Well, they've been doing it for I don't know how many years now.
Like
I've never been to
the
one.
Sweetwater
It's called
amusement park
Yeah.
for musicians.
Gear Fest.
Yeah. Well, and then you've also, hauled me downtown Nashville to go to a couple of these things.
Oh, I've drug you in and out
You
of
have drugged me in.
more than one
And I
music
smile,
store.
and I meet people, and I
And
go, I'm
recording
so
studios.
happy. Where are we going to lunch?
You hate. I don't know if hate. It's pretty close.
I just don't like
you
them.
hate recording studios.
I'm really not a fan of recording studios.
No.
I am not.
And and your husband has owned one.
I am
in
so
different
glad that you make money
variations
doing
for
that. But
30 years.
Right, but it's not something. There's no windows. You're locked in all day, and
I'll
you're
grant
working
you all
on one
that.
song for
Yep.
72 hours. Oh my word! Just pull my hair out.
Now you're okay when you're in there working on your stuff.
Sometimes,
Yeah.
sometimes not.
Yeah.
It all depends. I'll
But-
tell you what album that I really enjoyed doing, and that was our hymphonic album we did at Oak Tree a few years ago.
Right.
It was just piano and just vocal.
Right.
And Paul Corley was engineering, and all we did was that beautiful piano.
Yep.
And I was in another part of the studio, and
Yep.
we just did it literally like we were doing it live.
Right.
I loved that.
Yeah.
Why do you think? Because it wasn't
was
like it was a
spontaneous.
pre-recorded thing. It was like a live concert.
Right. I understand.
So I understand the fact.
But I get it in the part of the studio work when you're working with other musicians and you're as they call it, fleshing out an arrangement.
Yeah.
And you're working out each parts or as a lot of musicians do, you have a written arrangement.
Right.
And you just need to go over it so everybody understands what and knows what they're playing, and then you record. That part of all of those little subtle details and all are something that get me going. It drives you up a
It
tree.
does. And we're going to focus down the road here, Jeff. We're going to focus on you on all of the wonderful experiences of being a studio musician for years.
boy.
That'll be fun, won't it?
Oh, boy.
It'll be fun.
I
But
got
we'll do that another
stories.
time. I know you do. You're
I got
tons of them.
stories.
But getting back to what we like to do in common,
Yes.
and focusing on what we love to do versus what we're not good at together. Trying to think of an example. I mean, I know there's certain restaurants when people say, "Hey, let's go out," and they say, "Let's go to the brand new Indian teriyaki Mexicali Guamatalan avocado-ish grouping thing," and you're going, "Oh God, can't we just get a hamburger?"
Amen. Amen.
So I know that about you, and that's why you don't know. There are a lot of times I kind of do. I kind of persuade ahead of time.
I know you do, dear.
I try real hard to
it's
make
like,
it.
It's like I like we talked
Yeah.
about last night, and I'm probably giving up secrets here, but when I struggle sometimes, occasionally, I'm better at it because I've focused on it. Remembering folks' names, especially people that I meet for the first time.
Well,
I
that's
have
another
to,
story.
Yeah,
We can do that.
And we'll meet someone somewhere, and then we come back 6 months or a year later, and you're just better at remembering
Not
those
all the
names.
time, though.
I didn't-
Sometimes you're
no,
good at it.
I know, well, because I'm trying.
It all depends if I took my Prevagen in the morning.
Yeah. But you have been a lifesaver more than once. Did you come up to? I'm standing there talking to someone, and I have this look on my face like
You
I
have
know-
no idea who
I
you're
know-
talking to, and
I
I'll
know-
go, "Oh, Cheryl, it's so
I
good
know
to
I
see
should
you." And
know
then you go,
them.
and then oh yeah, Cheryl, okay.
I know I should know them,
I
but
know
I
you do.
can't pull it out. And you'll walk up and, like you say,
Yeah.
yes, hi Cheryl or whatever. It's like you've stuck a name tag on their shirt, so that it helped me and it saves me from embarrassment that we get, like when people come up and say, "Do you know who I am?" Yeah. Anyway,
And if our backs should ever be against the wall,
Well, that would
we'll
make
be
a good
together,
line for a
together,
song.
you and
and I.
And I hope that you and I hope we can be in our 90s. I was thinking, that's what I pray for.
I'm planning for it.
Yeah, let's do that. let's be one of those active,
We're going to be two funny people by the time.
Our kids are going to have to be wheeling us around, but it'll be kind of fun. We'll have to have one of those tandem wheelchairs.
Wheelchair built for two.
A wheelchair built for two. Listen, I want you to hang with me till the very end on this broadcast, okay? Don't leave, because I'm going to wax spiritual here, and I want your input too as well.
I'm so honored.
Are you
this
honored?
Is special.
This is a first after 10 episodes, This is a first.
I feel so special.
I want to talk a little bit about Colossians 1, 9 through 14, and I'm going to read it, and then we're going to talk about it, okay? It said, "For this reason, since the day we heard about you, we have not stopped praying for you. We continually ask God to fill you with the knowledge of his will through all of the wisdom and understanding that the Spirit gives, so that you may live a life worthy of the Lord and please him in every way, bearing fruit in every good work, growing in the knowledge of God, being strengthened with all power according to his glorious might, so that you may have great endurance and patience, and giving joyful thanks to the Father, who has qualified you to share in the inheritance of his holy people in the kingdom of light. For he has rescued us from the dominion of darkness and brought us into the kingdom of the Son he loves, in whom we have redemption and the forgiveness of sins." Now, there's about I would say, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, maybe 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, maybe 13 or 14 things out of that passage, Jeff, and I want to get your reaction to it too. Is that as a married couple, one of the things that has been very helpful, that even in a crisis, we don't have to wait for a crisis necessarily to pray together.
Right.
And it's good if you're in the middle of a crisis and you can pray together, but because we have prayed together before a crisis comes, it makes it easier. Mm-hmm. And so being filled with the knowledge of his will, that was in verse 9. It says, "Since the day we heard about you, we have not stopped praying for you." And verse 10 talks about walking worthy of the Lord, pleasing the Lord, being fruitful in works, and increasing in our knowledge of God. And I was thinking during this COVID-19, we're both kind of, during the day, we're reading and we're also getting knowledge about this pandemic, and we get things and we talk about these things. Mm-hmm. We don't just share talking points, but we really do share our thoughts and our heart about how we feel about this whole thing. And so I think that's being fruitful in a marriage, is not just doing talking points and not just saying, okay, here's what everybody else is saying, but how does that make you feel? Mm-hmm. And then verse 11 from that passage in Colossians says, "Being strong in patience, long-suffering, and joy." And I got to say, you have great patience with me. And you have incredible long-suffering with me, which inevitably gives you joy, I think. Because I'm not saying that I'm an easy person to live with. I hope that I am. But there are times...
No,
there are
you
times,
are. You
well,
are.
there are times that I could do a whole lot better. I know I could do a whole lot better.
Well, I mean, I think everyone on the planet would fall under that category, But no, you are, unless you're leaving the scrub brush in the sink,
right?
Scraps of food and dirty dishes, or looking for a second glass of orange juice. I heard you mention that in the other episode,
right?
That particular moment when you were out of your skin, so to speak.
Know.
And as I've told you many times, I was scared that morning.
You were scared. It was like a part of me you've never seen before.
I had not seen you react that.
No,
I can count on maybe 1 or 2 fingers how many times that you have reacted like that.
I know.
I didn't think it was anything.
I know. It was
But
weird.
I moved all the steak knives.
I'm so glad. Yeah. Yes, you did.
Well, and you talk about, you're mentioning growth. The past 90 days...
It's actually longer than that now.
Yeah, it is.
It's long.
I'm using general terms here, but let's say since the whole pandemic shutdown thing occurred and everyone became aware of it and had to take action. It was a major, and we've had several during our lives, but it was another major paradigm.
It was and
shift.
is.
It wasn't.
It's not over yet.
No, it's not. And we have had to, in many respects, reinvent ourselves.
Yeah, that's right.
And as a result of that, I think we've had to increase and step it up one more time, another level, our dependence upon God as our source.
That's exactly right.
Not concert dates that we get, not recording sessions or studio work that we get. I think that's the medium, or at least it has been for 40 years. But a major part of what we've done for 45 years got shut off overnight.
So if we go back to that verse again, just one more time before we close here. It ends with being thankful, and I think that's what I've become more aware of you and I together. I'm just very, very grateful for you, and I'm thankful for you, and I'm thankful for your work ethic. I'm thankful for your vision and your dream, and I'm thankful for, together we work together. There are things that I'm better at that you are not, and there are things that you're extremely good at and I'm not, but working together. And so in that scripture it says being thankful for the deliverance from the power of darkness, being thankful for being placed into the kingdom of heaven, and being thankful for redemption through the blood of Jesus, and then being thankful for forgiveness of sins. And so in this time of where we are obviously, again, we're celebrating diversity in our culture much more than we're celebrating unity. It seems to be that the things that we believe and how we behave, that unity matters to God because of John 13:35, and we'll close with this today. All people will know that you are my disciples if what? If you love each other. It doesn't say if you share in your diversity.
Right.
It doesn't say if you, express your opinion. It doesn't say if you have a perfect marriage or if you're married 15 times. It doesn't say that. It says you are my disciples if you love each other. And I think one of the ways that we can learn to love each other, to be united as we are, is to celebrate what we're alike in. And every single one of us need the power of Christ in our life. Well, thanks for listening this week. And just by mentioning episode 10 this week, United We Stand, Divided We Fall, Part 2, you're going to receive a free download to my book, Subiquitous. Send an email to radiosue@me.com, or you can get on my website at sueduffield.com. And I also have a special shout out again to all my new patrons on patreon.com, the Sue Duffield Subiquitous perks of the patrons. Lots of perks and lots of benefits by becoming a patron. Get on patreon.com/Sue Duffield, or just log on to my website at sueduffield.com. What unites us is far greater than what divides us, and you'll know that you're his disciple if you learn to love each other. We'll see you next week.